10 minutes. That's how long it will take for the Ghana Police Service to respond to your distress call in the coming days. The Inspector General of Police says his administration is working on a broader strategy to improve crime fighting across the country. Dr. George Akufo-Dampare has been outlining a series of measures adopted to boost the image of the service and welfare of personnel at a public lecture on the changing face of policing in Ghana. Erastus Asare-Donkor attended that lecture and now files this report.
We are employees of yours. That's why we are called public servants.
The lecture, organized by the Faculty of Social Sciences, KNUST, was held under the theme, The Changing Face of Policing in Ghana, Expectations and the Role of the University Community.
We can attest to the fact that despite the challenges, the kind of innovation and partnership the IGP is bringing to the frontiers of policing in the country is great.
The IGP acknowledged an inherited negative public perception but indicated measures rolled out to improve the image of policing.
We own our services to you, and if you are not satisfied, you need to get on with it. So with all this, we decided also to assess ourselves from your perspective. We found that in the middle, we said we are still underperforming. We show zero partnership. We don't work with you. Also, there are issues where you see us as very unprofessional. You say we are corrupt. Thank you. We've never said that there are not a couple of people who are doing things in a corrupt way, tarnishing the image of the service. We've never said that. We are doing all what we can to handle it. But we will never accept the tag that we are the most corrupt institution in the country. It is unfounded. Because all those researches have challenged methodologies.
Dr. Dampare spoke of series of plans instituted to fight crime and a move to decrease police response time to 10 minutes.
We keep deepening the number of police officers we put out there. Now we have added the motorbikes bit to it, and very soon we are deploying almost about 2,000 motorbikes across the country. That our roads are going to be policed, the towns you see the motorbikes, and response time we are looking at the average of less than 10 minutes. People will be there to deal with the matter for you.
The IGP called for public support for the police while assuring that personnel who perform professionally will receive the full backing of the service.
Each one of us at all the chain is appropriately empowered, such that as long as you do what is right and you do it professionally, we will have your back, and to the level that now there is a culture that everybody is arrestable, even including the IGP. So what it is that just do what is right in respect of your rank, and you have the full backing of the whole police administration, and nobody can intimidate you.
Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asare-Donkor, Kumasi.
Well, the Inspector General of Police has been touching on some more issues. He indicates that the administration is also instituting a policy that will ensure qualifying dependents of personnel who die in the line of duty are recruited to fill the vacuum in the service. IGP Dr. George Akufo-Dampare says the move seeks to pacify the affected family and ensure continuity.
About all this is the issue of the way we treat people who die in line of duty. We have revolutionized the environment to the level that what we do is to ensure that when you die in line of duty, with all the courtesies that we give you, we also open the opportunity for a child of yours or a brother of yours who qualifies to be recruited to take your place whenever there is a recruitment process ongoing. So that child continues the work you couldn't finish because of your untimely death, which was also in line with what? Duty. And it's more or less like a way of pacifying the family for their loss. We know we cannot bring the human being back. Let me end it there and probably focus on the other thing.
Also, let's expand the conversation. Joining me now is Peter Lonchini Tubu, a retired police officer, also member of Parliament for Wild West, and also on the Defence and Interior Committee of Parliament. Executive Director for West Africa Centre for Counter-Extremism, Mutare Momoni Mukhtar, is also on with us. In fact, the President has been touching on some more matters. We'll bring that shortly. And Dr. Adam Bonah is a security analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Let me start off with you. Dr. Bonah, if you are with us, by first of all looking at the IGP's lecture. Some say this is just part of moves to save face. Of course, the Ghana Police Service in recent times has been receiving some backlash after some 2 reports indicted the police service for corrupt practices. Do you feel that the lecture by the IGP has changed anything? Dr. Bonah, I was just asking if you feel that the lecture by the IGP has changed anything. So let's, of course, hear from Peter Lonchini Tubu, who's also on phone with us. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So just on the same background I was laying about the fact that the IGP simply trying to save face, the image of the police service has been battered after the release of these reports. For you, will this lecture by the IGP change anything?
Thank you very much, my brother. Good afternoon to our cherished listeners. Let me also say good afternoon to my co-panelist, Dr. Bonah, and then my brother Mukhtar. The Ghana Police Service is an institution that is so critical in our democratic dispensation. And the IGP's responsibility, can you hear me, please?
I'm with you, sir.
Good. The IGP's responsibility is to ensure, because this is a unitary command organization, his responsibility is to ensure that the image of the Ghana Police Service is built upon that the public will have confidence in the police. The public will have that trust. The public will respect the police. And through that, collectively, we can make Ghana a better place. So anything that is negative for the Ghana Police Service is the duty of the IGP to begin to look at it. Should we accept it and change it? Should we deny it and work on it? Or what should we do? But the fact is that the public, we call it public service. It is called public service because the police serves the public. And the people who are supposed to analyze and probably do some introspective reflection on the performance of the police is the public. So when the public comes to say, police, you are doing well, please accept it and be proud. If the public say, police, we don't like your performance, please accept it and do something about it. The IGP is saying, we can never say that the police service is a perfect organization. At least there are some few ones, bad nuts in there, who do things to dent the image of the police service, including corrupt practices. But he is saying that he's not going to take it today, he won't take it tomorrow. That the police service is the most corrupt organization in Ghana. And for me, as a member of parliament, if you look at the Auditor General's report over the years, the billions of Ghana citizens that are lost in our system through corruption, if we are looking at what percentage actually goes to the police, I am not sure that the police will even be part of the first 100 corrupt institutions in the country. But it's all about perception. The police is the most visible institution in this country, the most visible public institution. And perception is all about visibility. So I always say that there is a direct relationship between visibility and public perception. So if the police is the most visible organization, and you go around asking the public, which institution do you think is the most corrupt? Very likely, you are going to find a lot of people talking about the police, because that is what they see in the public space. But what is actually corrupt is deeper than what is perceived out there. And that is why Dr. George Akuffo Dampare, wherever you are, Doc, I salute you for the good job that you are doing. We are standing behind you solidly, and always take note. When you falter, we'll draw your attention. And when you are inching closely to success, we'll clap for you. But for me, I stand with him that he agreeing that there is something to work on, but disagreeing that absolute statement of police being the most corrupt institution in the country is not helpful and will not be taken lying down.
Let's touch on some more reforms he's announcing. The turnaround time for response. He's seeking to reduce that to 10 minutes. For you, Mukhtar, is this feasible? Well,
Hello. Yes. Yes. Good afternoon to you, and good afternoon to your listeners, and also to my co-panelists, Honorable Lanchini and Dr. Adam Bona. Yes, it's an institution that all of us are very, very interested in terms of, what it does because of its relevance and importance to our democracy and what it means for all of us in terms of security. In security exercise, we call something the immediacy of action, the capacity and willingness and ability of security to respond and respond immediately and continuously to incidents. It's very, very key. And this has been one of the single biggest challenges facing security sector practitioners, especially in this part of the world. If you listen to what the honorable member said earlier, you would hear words like perception and confidence. It is very, very key. Elsewhere, so for instance, if you ask the average young person or the average person whether you would want to go to the US or be here in Ghana, the average person would want to go to the US. In spite of the huge, data that supports the idea that you're likely going to be shot in America on a daily basis than here, then the single biggest factor is the response system that exists in those spaces. There's a sense of guarantee that when something happens, within a short period, within 6 to 10 minutes, you would be able to access security, or there's going to be a response to that situation. And that is what we should be we should be seeing happening here. And so the announcement that we are going to have response time within 10 minutes, it is huge. It is a very positive thing. And in terms of practicality, if it happens, we should all be very, very supportive of that.
The question about the posture of the IGP itself comes up as to his approach towards fixing the problem. It's as though there's that public display of whatever it is that he's seeking to do. Some say that's not in tandem with best practices when it comes to matters relating to security.
What specifically are you referring to?
Yeah, the PR of it, the PR and
the PR.
Precisely, always seeing the IGP.
Yes, you see.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I've seen that, and I've heard many people accuse, they all criticize the IGP for doing so much in terms of the PR, or that most of what he is being displaying is largely about the PR gimmick within the system. And I think that our security agents, especially the police service, has had a huge negative image for a very, very long time. And so for anyone seeking to change that within any period would have to combine, a sort of approach. And this includes a very effective and powerful PR mechanism, as well as the practicality that comes with providing security. And I think that he has significantly displayed or portrayed what a security officer and security services, the police service in particular, should be doing, for the people of Ghana. And I think that is key. He needs to complement that with practicality, as well as more and more of good examples of police officers who are genuinely on a daily basis discharging their duties. Very often, when you find an agency that has that negative profile, it's often a product of a few proportion of that service. And it's the same way within the Ghana Police Service. If you are familiar with the service, you would know there's a huge number of them who are genuinely doing their job on a daily basis, in spite of all the risks that come with it. And yet, there's a very small proportion that is projecting the very negative profile that we have of the police service. And so the IGP, I think it is justified, and we should support that. The media and security practitioners and analysts should be supportive of the approaches, especially those that are positive, to ensure that we create a culture that is positive and supportive of the police. We attract the best into the police service. We attract discipline and genuinely passionate and patriotic citizens serving within the police service.
Okay,
if we have that within a short period, we would be able to have a turnaround in terms of what the service is meant to do for us.
Dr. Adam Bona, I'm sure that you were following the lecture by the IGP yesterday. What was key for you? Dr. Bona, you have to unmute so we can hear you.
Is it okay now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Good. Yes. So, yeah, good afternoon to your viewers and my colleague on the other side, Mukhtar. Well, with regards to the lecture, several things. First of all, you know, the IGP is adopted a certain style of, you know, coming out into the media, you know, one-on-one and having conversations. And so it's significant to state that going on KNUST campus and having a conversation with KNUST, I mean, with students with regards to some of the things he's rolled out and some of the things they've done. And significantly, I would say he predominantly spoke about 99% of what they have done, and probably the rest of it is what they are going to do. Usually, you tend to hear more of the rhetoric. We are going to catch armed robbers. Armed robbers must stop or else we'll catch them. Or we will do this, we will do that. And usually when I hear this, I say, no, we didn't pay you to come and tell us what you are going to do 99% of the time. We paid you to catch the robbers. And even if you catch them, you can decide not to let us know they are caught. But usually you hear a lot more of the rhetoric. But you can see he spoke a lot more about what they've done and, you know, added what is yet to come on, which I think very important. He touched on the issue of police officers who die in line of duty and what is there for their wards or their kids if they are qualified.
And since you're touching on that policy,
join the police service and they are willing.
Right. And since you're touching on that policy, why don't we get into it? The issue about replacing police officers who die in the line of duty. Is this new to the service? And I'll come to you, Peter Lonchini-Toobo, to take your thoughts on that. But Dr. Bona, let me start off with you. That policy, has it always been in the service, or this is novel and something that the IGP is bringing on board?
Even if it was in the service, probably it wasn't a policy. But anyone who probably has a thing or two to do with the police in the past will tell you that because the police had a very small number in the past, most police officers, you know, in the service were people who were recruited from the various barracks. And so if you were a young boy, you finished secondary school or middle school, and your father was in the police service and the police were recruiting, they were the first point of call, because then it is assumed that you already know, you have the discipline, you know how to take the salute, you know how to clean the boots, you know how to iron, you know what it takes for a police officer to be a police officer. So largely, wards of police officers were encouraged to join the service if they wanted to, because then the police service wasn't probably as attractive as today. Today probably is so attractive, you have, you know, everybody wanting to join. But in the past, it wasn't that way. So you had most officers, you find out that probably if you had 10 police officers, 3, 4, 5 of them would have been people whose parents would have been police officers. Now it has changed. Probably over the last 20 years, it has changed. But probably 40 years ago, it was a norm. If you are...
Yeah, and I get the point you're making there about getting used to the system, a reason for which the IGP may want to institutionalize this. But for you, Supul, obviously you are at the very top leadership of the police service. Was this something that you were formulating at your time, or this is new, that anytime we have a police officer loses life in line of duty, we then replace him with a family member? Some say that may lead to a situation where we'll have family and friends take up the police service. Honorable Peter Toobo, can we get your thoughts on that? So let's hear from you, Mukhtar, on the... Yes, okay, right.
Yeah. I think Dr. Bona made a point quite clearly. This is a practice that has not been documented over years. Dr. George Akuffo Dampare is looking at what can we do as a monumental kind of motivation for people who die in line of duty. If you die in line of duty, of course, today we have a cenotaph that was set up by the former IGP. And in that cenotaph, annually, you'll be acknowledged for the role you played in providing peace and security for this country. The memory is everlasting at the cenotaph. But Dr. George Akuffo Dampare is going beyond that. What he's saying is that for you to be remembered eternally by your family, having contributed so much to the nation's peace and security, he will suggest, and in fact, it is not compulsory, if the family desires that we have another young man, another young woman who is qualified enough to be a police officer and is willing to step in the shoes of his brother, his father, his mother who died in the line of duty. And I want to underline that. The IGP is never saying that if you are in the police service and you die, you can get a family member to replace you. He says if you die in the line of duty, for example, you go for armed robbery operation, it's a high-risk operation. And in the process, you arrested about 4 or 5 armed robbers, and one of you was shot dead. You've died in active service in the line of duty. And these are the kind of people who say, if it is possible for us to replace them with a family member to show appreciation that, listen, you will never be forgotten. That is a plus. We don't want to go into the Africanization of the policy, because some people will say, if that is the case, sometimes you are going to promote some kind of reckless killing. Because even in the family, people are jealous about the fact that it is my son who is in the police. It is your daughter who is in the police. And if your son or your daughter dies, the likelihood that within the family, my son or my daughter can go and replace him or her, is a possibility. So these are remote issues that we don't want to look at. But I think that on the surface of the policy, it's fantastic. Because in the past, it is very refreshing for you to find your son or your daughter who says that, Daddy, I want to be a police officer when you are a police officer. How many of us in our various professions have our children wanting to be those professions that we are in now? If your son or your daughter wants to join your profession, it means that your character, your performance, and everything you've done is motivational enough to want to let your son or your daughter be wanting to be like you. But on this note, I think what Dr. said, Dr. Akuffo Dampare, what he said about this particular policy, I am believing that it's a policy, it's been documented, and when it begins to roll out, we will all begin to see whether there is any way we can fine-tune it to make sure that it works to perfection.
Let me bring in Dr. Bonao on that, because you're making a point about that policy. Is it, and how do we fine-tune it to avoid favoritism in the Ghana Police Service?
If you go into the police's own database, how many police officers die in line of duty a year? That is less than 1% of, the 40,000+ officers who die in line of duty. And so I don't think this is going to lead to favoritism. It is clear that if you died in the line of duty, it means that if you committed suicide, you are not among. If you decided to go and chase some girls and you died in doing that. So there will be proper, I'm sure, guidelines to guide, who dies in line of duty, and they have their own service regulations. And so as far as I'm concerned, it is a very good policy that must be encouraged by probably all manner of professions in this country. And I wanted to point to the fact that most public universities in Ghana, even if your dad or your mom was a laborer and you qualified just like any other person to enter that university, you are given, consideration first. Those children are given consideration. I have colleagues who entered the university, and with probably worse grades than some of us. Some of us would have done better than them, but they entered the university just like any of us, because their parent might have served the university. And so if the cutoff point is, let's say, 12 or 10 for A-level, and you had, let's say, 13, you will still be taken if your dad was a laborer at the university. These things have always been there. I doubt the universities are still not implementing that. So when you look at the police service and the risks involved in doing their work, you have a police officer, look at what happened in the Bole area recently, and they were flown in, I think 2-3 of them all died. And so mine is that it should be an incentive for officers to get out there and say that if anything happens, I put my line, in line of fire, and probably I die. I am sure that I will not be forgotten. I will be remembered because a close relation of mine is likely to replace me. And so as far as I'm concerned, it is not a suicide mission. It is a mission that will probably reform the police service the way we want to see it. Today, a lot of reforms are taking place, and I have lost count of the number of reforms that you are seeing. If you drive around the police headquarters today, it doesn't look like what all of us knew. Construction everywhere. And for me, I think we should encourage it. At the end of the day, the cardinal duty of the police officer,
And for you, Mukhtar, are you enthused about the policy? And in your view, how do we make it better? Kindly unmute for me, Mukhtar.
Didn't bring out what we were expecting. So when things are getting out of order, bring in the military, which some of us think that it shouldn't be. The military have their place in society. The police have their place in dealing with internal security. So the stronger the Ghana Police Service becomes, the better for all of us, especially going into 2024 elections. I would want us to go into 2024 election without the military. For the first time since 1992, let's go into the elections without the military. By doing so, we are going to bring internal security officers, while the military would be on standby at the peripherals, instead of bringing them on board. And sometimes the issues that come up become very difficult to investigate. So the police should take the police have taken center stage in terms of internal security. And some of us, if you ask me, I would say it's pleasing seeing that Okada riders are now stopping at traffic stops. They are not crossing. People are not using their 4x4s and jumping traffic and going because a constable would arrest you if you do. I think these are the things some of us have always advocated for some decades now. And in our lifetime, we are seeing it, if you ask me, blessed.
I would have to leave it here. Thank you so much for your time. That's Dr. Adam Modern Security Analyst Mukhtar Muwoni Mukhtar with the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism, and Peter Lonchini Tubo is MP for Wild West.